What's up, guys? Man, it's Thursday already. Y'all believe that? We have wiggled our way through another week. And so it's been fun already. Had a lot of stuff going on, but we have made it and looking forward to Fun Day Friday and the rest of this day as well. So, what's up, Nettie?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad it's Thursday, getting closer to the weekend.
That's right.
Yeah.
Another day down, another day closer to retirement.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That
So,
looks like we had a raid from Bob Adventures on Wheels. Thank you, Bob.
yeah, thanks, Bob. I come in sliding sideways when I get off my bus, and so I am going to try to slide in on some of these morning shows that Bob's going to do, and so Bob, for those that don't know, it's going to start coming on a half hour before we do, and so he'll do a little 30-minute show every morning, and so that's going to be really cool. So y'all have to check that out, and I'm going to try to catch a minute or two of it occasionally. But Nettie can tell you, and Felix too, when I get off my bus and I come in here, I'm sliding in, trying to get everything done.
Yes, you're running in circles.
Yep. So anyway, his way homestead was first in the house. Nettie was second. Aaron Jemison was third. Shanna Craft is here. James Catniece is in the house. Bob's Adventure on Wheels. Raid. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Ford Man, aka Kenneth Oaks, is in the house. Roy and Becky's Travels is here. Woohoo! Good deal. Congratulations. Roy and Becky is going into review.
Awesome.
Good deal. They're about to do their paperwork. If you got your Google AdSense account, you shouldn't like much getting there. So mine, for some reason, hadn't been set up, so it took a day or two. So Shanna Craft. Let's scroll on down here. Liz Walter. So we had a lot of people last night connect with us that I didn't know, and I haven't got around into getting back. My phone was going crazy all evening, and I was real busy. My loader, the battery went down on my loader, had a flat tire on my loader, all that kind of stuff, and all I was going to do is get it out and help the neighbor. So, but got it all going. I'm going to be able to help my neighbor today, and then worked on the lawnmower and come in about dark and crashed on the lounger. And all I done on YouTube after the show yesterday was post a picture yesterday evening and on the community tab. So if you hadn't seen that, I think it's on the members only though. I got to do a community one. But if you're a member, check out that picture and take a guess. Let's see what you got. So anyway, and I'll be posting some stuff on the open community tab here after a while sometimes. So, but anyway, glad to have everybody in here. We got 11. It takes a few minutes for everybody to get in here, but let's go over the next few days. Tomorrow's Fun Day Friday, of course. Monday, Stumbles and Fumbles. Tuesday morning is ABZ Minimalist RV Life. And then Tuesday night's Free for the Road. Wednesday is Repurposed Adventures. Thursday, J. Charles Outdoors, and next Friday's Fun Day. Don't forget, the 15th, we are going to have Traveling Robert. Y'all help us promote that. Let's try to have a ton of people in the house for that. We were tickled to death for him to say that he'd be on the show. And like I said, we're working on a mega channel. And everything is looking good for us getting that. So let's have good showings when we have all these. When we have everybody, it's good to have a big showing. But especially when we have these, it's got the hundreds and something thousand subscribers. You know, they take time out of their busy day because I'm sure they get thousands of requests. And so they love channels that say yes, love to interact with their base. And so we just need to have a lot of their base here so they can interact. And it's a good chance for everybody to get a question in. You know, smaller community. If you go to one of their lives, they have 1,000 people in the chat. You can't get a question in. So anyway, so let's get over here and see what's going on. Thank James Catniece for the $7 coffee. Appreciate that. There's nursing our travel bug in the house. Uncle Lisa Productions is here.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing America's coming in. So let's slide over and get our guest today, Miss Denise from Colorado Martini. Let's bring them up and see what we can learn about their awesome channel. Hey, how are you?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So it takes a few minutes for us to get everybody in the house. That's usually why I do all the housekeeping up front.
Yeah.
We're early for all the West Coasters. And so it takes a little bit for everybody to get up, moving about. So,
well, it's 8 o'clock here, so
Yeah.
Yep.
So to come on live today, I had to get a lot of things done by 8 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah, we Roy and Becky and them, they're out where Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're 2 hours back, right? So it's 7 o'clock out there. It's 9 here in Alabama. So I think it's 6 or 7 out there where they're at. So how are you doing, Miss Denise?
I'm doing great. Sorry that my other half is not here. I've got his empty chair next to me, though, so we can pretend like he's here.
Right.
You can do like Nettie, put a drawing of her husband.
I should have put like in the baseball games and stuff. I should have put like his head there and stuff.
Right.
So,
as you can see, he was going to be here, but he got an emergency call at the last minute and had to run into Denver. So,
Yeah.
But so where are you guys based? You're in Denver, right? Or thereabout?
No, actually, we are about an hour out of Denver. We are in the Boulder area, so we're just north of Boulder, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Yeah.
So we're right at the base of the one side of us is the Rocky Mountains, and the other side are the Great Plains.
Yeah. So there are probably a lot of people out here that don't know who you are and what your channel is about. So why don't you introduce yourself and the channel and let us know a little bit about what the channel is about?
Well, we're a husband and wife team. We refer to my husband as Mr. Martini, and a lot of people call me Colorado. And we started our channel actually as we actually started as many different things, trying to find our voice on what I call finding your voice on YouTube. But when I started this channel, it was actually organic gardening.
Oh, wow. You have a transition.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do because that's what I'm really good at, organic gardening. So over the years I've picked up tricks and tips and stuff, and so I thought that's what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Very quickly I realized that's not what I wanted to do. And so like our first 3 videos, if you really go back in our catalog, you'll see there's like using Epsom salt in your garden and stuff like that, or how to grow a great tomato. But at the same time, Patrick, Mr. Martini, and I we were writing a cocktail book. And that came about because we're good drinkers.
It helps if you're going to write a cocktail book to be good at it.
It is the funnest thing to write is a cocktail book. Mr. Martini is really, really good at making flavored martinis, like Cosmos and gummy bear martinis and stuff like that. Really flavored martinis, not your grandparents' martini where it's vermouth and stuff. It just these really good flavored martinis that you can get nowadays. And he just really had a knack for it. And we'd go to people's houses and we'd bring, instead of bringing, a pot roast or whatever for a potluck, we'd bring martinis. Mm-hmm. And and it became a thing with us and our friends. And I mean, it got to a point where we were like rolling a suitcase into people's supplies.
Oh, wow. I bet that was a hoot.
Oh yeah. And so it became a thing. And it's like, especially the neighborhood women here just absolutely love it. So we would have like these movable feasts around the neighborhood where every house you went to was a different martini.
Yeah.
And so it became a thing. And so I was like, why don't we write a book with all these creations that we've put together where, you know, I always came up with the recipes and, you know, and he came up with, you know, how to mix them together and stuff. And between the two of us, we had a ton of recipes. So we were going to call the book Colorado Martini.
Wow, how cool.
And that's where the name comes from.
Yeah.
And so the channel went from gardening to a kind of a more of a cocktail and our adventures type thing. And so we used to do a lot of lives like yourself. And we would come on and show people how to make different recipes. And we were going to roll out the book. Well, our channel took off, and because I'm the one that manages everything, it was just too much for me to get the book out and manage the YouTube stuff. Mm-hmm. Because as you know, social media can just really be a time suck, you know, can really take a long time. And so we continued doing the lives, and you know, they always had themes, and we would give the history of the alcohol that we were using, or if it was something like a Moscow Mule, where did that come from? Who came up with that? Why did we use a copper cup? You know, and so, you know, why is it called Moscow Mule? So we would actually give the history behind that as we were drinking on these lives. And they became really successful. Well, at the same time, we were doing regular videos, you know, doing our adventures, because we travel a lot, and in the sense that we do a lot of road trips. And so we were always going from one place to another in our travel trailer. And, you know, I was like, why aren't we recording this? You know, our adventures, the things that we do. This is not, you know, this is so natural for us. And so we started doing that maybe about, I don't know, 2 years ago. Our channel was about 6 months old at the time. And so we just started recording all our road trips. And what's really nice about where we live outside of Boulder is that we are very close to a lot of things. And so we can be in Wyoming in an hour. And we can be in Nebraska and I can be in the Black Hills in 5 hours. You know, I can be in Santa Fe in 5.5 hours. You know, we're just really close to a lot of things. We're Colorado. We're in the middle of the United States.
Right.
You know, we can be in Moab. You know, it takes us 5 hours to get to Moab. You know, so we pack up the car and we go on these adventures. And so we've always been explorers. And now we just record it, and we still have that history thread through everything. Right. And so we stopped doing probably our last cocktail live stream. Oh gosh, it was probably Christmas time. We might have done one last year or the Christmas before, I can't remember. But we haven't done one in a long time. And believe me, I hear about it. People they like to, I guess, watch us get drunk.
It's amazing what people will sit and watch.
Right.
I'm still amazed that anybody comes to my channel. Nettie says they come just to hear me talk.
Yeah, just to hear him talk.
So I met you. I don't know exactly how we met, and I'm like you guys. We have so many people; it's hard to keep up on a weekly or even a monthly basis. Sometimes with every channel, and what caught my eye on your channel, you had visited one of the rocket museums. Mm-hmm. I think in Houston, and then I think you said you had been to Huntsville, Alabama.
No, but it's on my list.
It's on your list, yeah. And
are you talking about the one with the Saturn? Are you talking about the one with the Saturn V?
Yeah, At Huntsville, yeah. When you was at Houston, before I seen your video when you was atUston. And
Yeah,
but
when I cried, I started crying when I
yes.
saw the Saturn V.
And to give y'all a little backstory, what really draw me to her channel and subscribe and all that is that particular video. How we met, I don't know. Where we seen each other, or what channel we were on, I don't know. But anyway, I had commented and she was responding. And you're a scientist, right?
Yes, I'm a geophysicist.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got to interacting, and I told her that our daughter works on the Patriot missile program. And so that's how we got to talking.
I remember that now.
Yeah. So,
yes.
But that was really cool.
I actually don't practice geophysics anymore. When I was in geophysics, I did a lot of military work. And so I had to travel quite a bit.
Whoops, they froze.
Are you guys still there?
We are now. Yeah. You froze for a second.
Are you there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I lost you there for a second.
Yeah.
Anyways, I had to travel from base to base, and I was a mom, and at the time I just had my oldest daughter, and it was just too hard at being a mom and having to travel so much, and so I decided to go more into programming and software engineering so I could have a desk job and not have to travel so much. So I've been working on university campuses most of my career, doing research and things of that such. So that's what I do now. I'm a software engineer at the University of Colorado.
Yeah. Our daughter does she's a computer science major. She makes sure when the engineers change the programming in the Patriot missile that it works. In other words, she's got like a 1,500 point checklist. And so,
I love that. I love that.
Tech side of it. So,
yeah, since I was a little girl, I mean, I've always wanted to be a scientist since I was a little girl, and I wanted to be an astronaut. I grew up in that age of Apollo, and so I wanted to be an astronaut, and my dad gave me my first telescope when I was like 8 years old. And so anything that had to do with NASA was like my bag. I loved it. And so when I started school, I was actually aerospace engineering because I wanted to work for NASA. And I ended up changing it to geophysics because at the time, the bottom had fallen out of the aerospace engineering field. General Dynamics was laying everybody off. And back then, Hughes aircraft was around and they were laying everybody off. And it was like, why am I majoring in something that there's like no job for me when I come out of school? So I ended up changing. But the point of the story is so since I was little and all the way into college, anything that had to do with NASA was really important to me, and I followed, and I loved. And so going to Houston or going out to Cape Canaveral in Florida has been on my bucket list since I was a little girl. So walking in that door at Johnson Space Center, you literally just go through a regular old door into a warehouse. And when you walk in, there's the huge Saturn V that took, our astronauts to the moon and space. And you can see it in my face. They were recording me as I was walking in the door, and you could just see it. I mean, I started crying. And that's where all the emotions came from. It was like, it was at my Mecca.
Oh yeah. That's
the Saturn V. So, and I probably spent 3 hours in there.
Oh yeah. Keisha looks at military and defense a whole lot different since she went to work for a defense contractor. She looks at it more than just that is a missile. She looks at it behind like what goes into making that thing work and the technology that evolves. It's like a human being. It evolves as the longer it's out, and then what replaces. To hear her talk about defense stuff now, versus when she was younger as a kid is totally a whole nother off the level chart as the way she used to talk about that kind of stuff. And because now she's invested. She's
Yes.
invested in it. Yeah. She's got a piece of her in this.
Yeah.
It takes a village, to build these things, and not just the present, but the past also. Everything's built upon each other, and especially all the programming that goes into these things are all built on. I mean, there's probably code in their programs that is from the 60s that has just been propagated through the generations.
Yeah.
And either it has just evolved from that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we got in trouble in the Y2K thing, was because as programmers, we copy and paste quite a bit.
Yeah.
Why reinvent the wheel? And so that's why that was such an issue, because nobody thought in their wildest dreams we needed 4 digits for a year. And, through the years, they had been programming 2 digits. And so it threw all the programming off from all this legacy code that had been out there since the 60s.
Yep.
And there was people like me that had to go in and fix all that. And, they were bringing people out of retirement that, understood the code.
That's what Keisha's job is now. Is she said you can't always just go in there and make a change. So she has to take this to the test booth, test this thing, and make sure that just because, like you said, they copied and pasted and added, you can't always just add.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I have people come to me all the time going, oh, this is a simple fix. And it's like, unless it's a text change, it's not a simple fix.
Unless you're painting it a different.
Exactly. I can change one little line of code and it can break everything else. And we may not see issues for like weeks because nobody's, forgot to test that one little corner of the code. And there's a whole process to it. So you don't break what already exists.
Yeah. There's slow momentum. And RV Weekend said they watched a rocket launch this morning. They live down in Florida. They live out near the, what do they call that coast? Where they launch a lot of the missiles. Anyway, that are the rockets. They live out there.
The Cape Canaveral. But there's a name for it. What's the name? Is it the Space Coast or what
Space
is that?
Coast. That's what they call it. That's where they live. I hear them talking about that a lot on their live stream. And so that's pretty cool. So I think back when I watched your channel live, when we first met, what I'm saying, I think you guys were about the size we are now, in the 1,000, like around 1,000, maybe 2,000. Wow, y'all have really grown over the last few months.
Yeah, we're at our subs are. I think this morning it was at 6,760. So we've grown quite a bit over the last 2 years. A lot of work went into that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's it takes a lot of work to get these videos out and to stay up with social media and to answer your comments. And you definitely have to be organized, and figure out what's important and what's not. So because your time is so slim on what you have, and then keep a 40-hour week job on top of it.
Oh yeah.
And it's all me because Patrick's the comic relief. He just shows up for the shoots.
I have one of those as well. Is also, yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
When it comes to the managing of the channel. So
yeah.
I don't know how you do it because I have a whole team of people, and we're only at nearly 1,100 subscribers, but we do 6 shows a week. And if every one of them decided that they couldn't do it any longer, if I couldn't replace them, I would get off YouTube. I just could not do it without them. And We
Yeah,
have.
it
Yeah,
takes organization, definitely.
Yeah. Well, and Nettie was laughing a while ago when you said that because she
Yeah.
knows I'm opposite of organized.
He has no organization. Well, show her what I sent you to keep you organized. I gave him she's got a planner.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I've gotten to a point where, I have to like pick an hour of the day that's dedicated to a certain thing. So when I get up in the morning, the first thing I do with drinking my coffee is to go through social media and to either post and to answer comments or, see what our social media sites are. And that's the first thing I do in the morning. And it got to a point where I really had to focus on just a couple platforms. We used to be on everything, and we still are, but I don't focus on them like I used to focus on Pinterest and LinkedIn and Reddit, which I hate, by the way.
I hear that a lot. That is funny that you said that. Me and Nettie and Felix, we hear that. There's people that absolutely love it. But the people that even love
it, it's because the people are mean.
Yeah, that's what we hear. We hear the same thing. I'm thinking, how much worse could it be than Facebook? But it is.
It's mean. I get comments like you wouldn't believe on that, and they're mean, and you get haters in this world.
Oh, I got a lot of them.
You get people that are just, really, did you have to say that? What was the purpose of saying that? And you just kind of have to move on. And, I've gotten very liberal with my delete button.
Yeah.
Because it's easier just to, I just don't respond. And, there's people, especially on that platform, that feel like they need to say what they say. And it's like, what did that bring to the table?
Right.
What does that have to do with the history that we're talking about? Because, our videos have a lot of history in them. And it's like, what does that have to do with anything? And so, they're more concerned about, I didn't pronounce something correctly.
Oh, don't that drive you nuts?
Compared to,
they would love my channel.
Right. And we got Jerry with us.
Jerry Holly, this is our unofficial co-host. Official co-host.
Morning, Jerry.
So this is Denise with Colorado Martini.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to meet you.
We're hanging out a little bit today. So, Jerry,
actually, Facebook is probably my favorite as a YouTuber. On a personal level, I don't post that much in my personal stuff anymore on Facebook. But as a YouTuber, it's actually been one of our best platforms. When you look at our stats, 45% of our traffic comes from Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
And so we belong to quite a few groups. The groups in Facebook have just been wonderful. So we have found groups that are in our genre, like people that aren't as mean as the people in Reddit. But in Facebook, everybody's been really kind and very supportive. And, so we belong to U.S. history groups, and we belong to a lot of cemetery groups, because if you know our channel, we do a lot of what's called tombstone tourism, where we will tie in the place that we go. We'll tie in any kind of cemetery things that we can. So a lot of times we'll visit cemeteries for the famous people of the place that we're at. Or we'll start in the cemetery and say, this is so-and-so, let me tell you their story.
Right.
And the story has to do with where we've traveled. Such as one of my personal favorite videos that I've done with the tombstone tourism thing is in Yellowstone. I was planning our trip to Yellowstone, and because we do a history thread through our travels. I'm trying my goal is to say, stop and smell the history. Don't just go to places because everybody else goes to that site wherever you're traveling. You're missing out on some really cool history and things to see that are just over here. And that's kind of what our channel's about. So we don't go to Yellowstone to show you the geysers. We go to Yellowstone to show you things that you might know existed at one time that you can actually go visit, and give you more of the history of Yellowstone. And the path less traveled. We'll probably throw some geysers in, like while you're at this geyser, go left, go over here, and you're going to find this. And people are like, oh yeah, look at that. Well, anyways, the Yellowstone one. So when I was planning our trip in Yellowstone and doing the history thread, I do a lot of research before I ever get in the car. A lot of research. And I found Maddie. And Maddie was a pioneer when Yellowstone first started. And she and her husband there was a hotel. There was about 3 hotels that existed in Geyser Basin that were the main hotels for Yellowstone. And back in those days, they would have to stagecoach people in. So you would come in the northern gate on the train, and then you'd get off the train and get in these stagecoaches, and they take you to all the geysers, to the Geyser Basin. And so there were hotels out there, beautiful hotels that don't exist anymore. Their counterparts exist, but some of them burnt down, or they just weren't upkept. Well, Maddie and her husband took care of one of these hotels, and this was one of the original ones, so it wasn't a very big one. And they were also the winter caretakers. And Maddie had tuberculosis really bad, and it took her just after she had her baby, and in the middle of winter. And you can imagine what Yellowstone's like in the middle of winter. We can't even get it. Still to this day, there's parts of Yellowstone we can't get into. The roads are closed. There's so much snow that they don't even maintain them. And so anyway, she died and left her husband, with the baby all by himself in the middle of winter.
Wow.
And so because it was so cold out, they couldn't bury her. The ground was frozen. And so the military used to run Yellowstone. And that's why there's a fort right outside of the northern gate. There's an old fort there that you can actually, visit, and there's a museum there, and nobody ever goes to it, and it's so full of Yellowstone history, and the fort's still there. And there's even a graveyard up on the hill of soldiers from the 1800s. And this was, I want to say this was 1875, maybe 1880. It's all happened. So anyways, the soldiers, they were camping near the hotel, and he went and got them, and they brought wine barrels over and took 2 wine barrels and put her body into the wine barrel and put her in the cellar for the entire winter until they could bury her.
Yeah.
So winter, spring came in, the ground thawed, and they buried her right outside the hotel. Well, years went on. The hotel got knocked down because it was called the Fire Hole Hotel. Got knocked down because it was decrepit at this point. A new one was built in its place, and then more hotels in that general area. Maddie was still buried there. They didn't move her body. And so over the years, here's this lone grave where the hotel used to exist. And you can actually see where the hotel used to exist. There's a depression that used to be the cellar, which is a whole nother video I haven't even done yet. Maddie's still there, and her grave's still there. And she's in a picnic area where you can go and picnic right next to these beautiful rivers, absolutely beautiful rivers. And it's on the way to other geysers that are popular in Geyser Basin. And she's her grave sits right next to the river, and people come and picnic and fish there, and they don't even know she's there. And she has a beautiful headstone, and the rangers have taken care of her all these years, and they have like silk flowers on her grave, and she's got a very strong like gate around it because the buffalo come and want them to destroy her grave, and you can see buffalo scat, poop everywhere.
Right.
And she's got this beautiful headstone, and it's actually the original headstone.
And that has lasted since 67?
She died off the top of my head. I think it was 1881 she passed.
Okay.
And so when I found her grave, I realized I got to tell the story.
Yeah. So you made that history come alive, basically.
Exactly. I didn't want people just, I mean, think about how many people have found that grave that have picnicked or fished there, because it's a very popular picnic area. It's the Nez Pierce picnic area. Very popular. But how many people have passed her grave and went, what is the story behind this? Why is this grave here? And when I went on the YouTube, I really couldn't find very much about her. Maybe some pictures of the grave, and that was about it, but not her story. Mm-hmm. And when I heard her story, it was like, I actually read a book about her. I had to find out about her. And, and she was this pioneer and everything of Montana. And I had to know why she was buried there and her story. And so I read this book and then told the story on the video. And that is one of my personal favorite videos that I've done.
What you do is you can show people the connection, like the locations that connect to these people, and show them how they can go and connect with these locations. And that makes it awesome.
Oh yeah,
exactly. And that's what we're trying to do. So we just don't tell the story. We're like, oh, and you can camp here. They have pull throughs. There's a bathroom here. You can get a wheelchair into this spot, but you can't do it to this spot. So we just don't tell the story. It's a travel vlog telling the story, the historical story of where we're at, but also how you can get there. Who can get there and where you can stay, and recommendations that we have. Bring water. You're in altitude.
Right.
The storms come in the afternoon. Thunderstorms come in the afternoon. So be careful. Stuff like that. So it's just not a history lesson.
Now, has that made you curious about the paranormal side? But I did see something about that you do as well.
Yes. So because we're into history, and history is so important to us, we've actually been in the paranormal for years and years and years. Yeah, I get a lot of comments on my paranormal videos like, I don't believe, and that's fine. And people that are into the paranormal just say people that don't believe are just people that haven't had experiences yet.
We're into it. I love it.
You have to have an experience to be, there's people that are really true believers that have never had an experience. And then there's people who are like, yeah, that doesn't exist. They're just,
right.
Yeah, it just doesn't. But then they have an experience and they're like, oh my God, this really doesn't exist.
And my husband actually had an experience, so we're firm believers. Yeah.
And that's what's happened to Patrick and I, is that we both have had many experiences. And so when we first got married, we've been married for 33 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We had already had our experiences. So we've been into paranormal our whole marriage.
Yeah.
And when we got into YouTube years ago, because I'm into history, I decided I'm going to do, a Halloween. I'm going to do haunted history.
Yeah.
So I told the story of the Stanley Hotel, and the Stanley Hotel is like a half an hour up the mountain from me, and it's up in Estes Park. And the Stanley, if you're not familiar with it, is Stephen King's what's the word I'm looking for? Influence of The Shining.
For The Shining, yeah.
The Shining.
Yeah.
It's the Shining Hotel.
Yeah.
And it's literally a half an hour from my house. And so I decided I'm going to tell the story of this family and, why Stephen King, wrote about it, because he had experience. He was actually in that hotel in the winter, and he and his wife were the only guests. And he had, he listened to the stories of the staff. He sat down and had meals with them because they were snowed in. And, they all had these ghost stories about this hotel. And then he had his own experience while he was there in room 217, which is one of the most popular rooms in the actual Shining. So the numbers of the rooms of the stories he told, those rooms really do exist, and they're warped versions of stories that the staff told him.
Yeah.
And so at the time he was living in Boulder. He came here because his, and this is out of his own mouth. I actually saw him speak here in Boulder. He, how he always has things about Castle Rock and everything's New England. And his editor said, you got to get out of the New England genre. Go someplace else, get ideas so you can kind of, bring another flavor into your writing. So he came here to Boulder. And so he and his wife went up to Estes Park, because it's just, it's around the corner, to, just take in the sights, the local sites. And he found one of his most successful stories up in Estes Park. And so when he came out with the second book, I don't know if you know where there is actually a sequel. It's called Dr. Sleep. They made a movie about it a couple of years ago. But the day he released Dr. Sleep, he came here. He came here to release the book, and so we went to that release party and saw him speak. And we got the book signed, Dr. Sleep signed, and everything. So that's how I know so much about it, is that he told the story up on stage of how he came up with Shining and everything, and why he was in Boulder and everything. So it was, and boy, does he have a potty mouth.
Oh, wow.
Every other word was F this. It was like, whoa. That. So anyway, that's how the paranormal started, with a story about The Shining.
Yeah.
And the hotel. And so I released that at Halloween, and our viewers were like, oh my God, that story is fantastic. We want more. So I did one. We have a park here in Denver called Cheeseman Park. And it's this beautiful park. And one part of it is, a family park. It overlooks the city. The other half of it is our botanical gardens, which is, one of those places you have to actually pay a fee to get into. It's not just one you can walk through. It's absolutely beautiful area. Beautiful mansions all around the park. But the one thing about Cheeseman Park and the Denver Botanical Gardens, it was once the city cemetery. And it was huge. And nobody really ran the cemetery. It was first, there were factions like, this is the Odd Fellows, this is the Masons, the Catholics. There was a Jewish section, there was a Chinese section. And so those factions used to take care of their own areas. Or people would just, there was nothing out there back then. And so people would just go, let's go bury Uncle Tom under that tree. And they dig a hole and they would bury Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
And so it became very haphazard. And then these factions stopped taking care of their areas, and it went into disarray. So you had thousands and thousands of graves that nobody, they were stones and there were crosses and stuff, but there was no rows, nice rows. It was very haphazard. So when this became a desirable area and the rich, and this is the late 1800s, wanted to move into that area and build their mansions, the cemetery had to go. It was an eyesore. Nobody was taking care of it. It was overgrown. It was, broken headstones. It was just a mess. And I've seen pictures of it back then, and it was a mess. It was really sad because, beautiful statues are in half and stuff, and kids are playing on them. It's a playground for the kids. So they wanted to make a park, so they had to move the bodies. They gave the families 90 days to move the bodies. Well, of course, families couldn't be contacted. People couldn't move the bodies that quick. You have the poor that don't have anybody.
Right.
Afford to move the bodies, or they don't know where they are. Okay. So many bodies got left behind. And so then the city hired somebody to find the bodies, and they would give him a certain amount of money per casket, per body. So what he did is he bought children's caskets, broke up the bodies, 5 different, a collection of bones into one casket, and put them in these small caskets. So he was getting paid more because they weren't really whole bodies in each one. And that was a fiasco. And then the newspaper found out about it from one of these workers because they were so disgusted, and that's ceased. So long story short, over 2,000 plus bodies are still left behind, and they're still there to this day. And every time they dig for sprinklers or in the botanical gardens, they, gonna put in a new garden, they find either pieces of caskets, or they find bone or jewelry, or, it's so sad. So needless to say,
there's a lot of paranormal stuff happening over there.
A lot of paranormal stuff that goes on there.
Exactly.
So we, so I told, historical history stories like this and paired it up with paranormal, and our viewers just went crazy over it. They loved it. And that's why we do the paranormal, because it's per request in comments, and people that want to see more and more and more. And next thing I knew, we had equipment. We were doing investigations. We were with it.
Oh man. Well, I know that y'all's channel has took off. Has it? I haven't been that close to it, but it took off in the last couple of months, ain't it? I mean, like in the last few months, it's really skyrocketed, ain't it?
Actually, it has been doing better over the summer. Once people were out and about again. But it's actually been a slow incline going up. So it hasn't been, definitely has not been an overnight thing. It's been definitely, as we get more videos out and our catalog gets bigger, it starts doing better. We have a lot of subs. We actually do a lot of events. We go to a lot of events locally, and everywhere we go, we pass out our business card. We have, 2-sided business cards that say who we are, where our social media is. So every place we go, we, as you can tell, I talk a lot. He talks a lot. We're very friendly people. We meet a lot of people on the road. And so we pass out our card to everybody. And that's what I attribute our subs to, a lot of our subs to, is because everywhere we go, we get to know people. And if we talk about a place, we let them know we did a video on them. And they, propagate our stuff out. And so, it's all been, marketing, self-marketing. It definitely was, I wish it was just because.
Right.
And I think with people working from home, they're able to watch more too.
Yeah.
So that helps as far as viewing time as well.
Yes. Yes. But it was definitely hard for us travel people because nobody wanted to travel. I kind of had to do some quick thinking on, I have tons of footage.
Right.
I noticed that a lot of people were running out of footage. They had like nothing to put up that had to do with what their channel was, that people just nothing stored in to put together a video. I have so much footage. I have been filming. I mean, I film every place we go for years now. And, you know, it was going to be a long time before I ran out of things to put out, but I didn't want to put out travel videos during quarantine because nobody wanted to watch that. Nobody wanted to watch what the world looked like. Depressing.
Yeah.
So I put out a lot of just like historical type stuff, talking about, you know, like the radioactive one, the radium girls, because I had footage on a museum that we went to. And so I put the story of the radium girls together with the Atomic Museum in New Mexico. You know, and just you had to be creative during quarantine, you know. And to be honest with you, those videos really didn't do that well, you know, because it just, yeah, I'm sure we can all attest to this. Our stats kind of went like this between March and May, and then June they started picking up again. But yeah,
it was very interesting on a podcast, and that is what. Gary, I'm not sure if you announced it as far as the podcast that what you do, and just your stories in general would be great for a podcast.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all do a podcast, but we just started doing podcasts, and I forget to tell everybody on the podcast side what's going on. But anyway, I strip the audio off the live stream, and I upload them to Anchor, which is a podcast platform, and the moment you sign up, your channel is monetized. You don't pay a lot. It's like YouTube. You don't pay a lot. But what it does is we've been huge. I mean, it's blew me away at how much response we've got on podcasts. And it's no more work because we're already doing live stream. And what y'all guys would do is probably strip the audio out of your videos. But you would have to, the key to podcasting is, remember, you got people that can't see.
Exactly.
You got to color commentate like football games. You got to let them know what's going on. So our podcast has done well, and that was a Bob's Adventure on Wheels. That was his idea. He learned how to do it and taught me how to do it. And it's simple. It takes about. Well, I start the download, then I go do something else, and I come back, and then I start to upload on the Anchor. But probably of my time, I have to spend with it 10 minutes per episode, and that's all there is to it.
We've definitely talked about doing that, and it's one of those things where I'm going to have to like get it ready during a load time on YouTube. I mean, because every spare moment I have is to keep this channel going and stuff. And like, you know, and like you said, most of my videos, I'm like, look at this, look at that. So it's like, it's hard to strip that video out because people don't see what you're talking about. It has definitely been on the top of my mind as the next step. We're retiring, not in the near future. It all depends on COVID because that's kind of mention everything. But we're probably going to branch out quite a bit once we retire and I can do this full time. But you know, right now I only have so many hours in the day to do things, and you get burned out.
Well, I don't get to visit like I used to because I've had to stop and take time for the boss.
You do. And that's one of my biggest suggestions to people is you need to take breaks. When we first started this, you know, there was kind of a group of us that were really good friends, and we still are today. And I was watching them putting out like 3 videos a week. You know, they were trying to get monetized and stuff, and I get that. But, you know, I was still 1 video a week and stuff. And I've seen a lot of people leave because they got burnt out. They just did too much. And, you know, to me, it was more important about not burning out, that I was in it for the long haul, And I take breaks when I feel burnt out. And we post on Saturday mornings at 9:00. We actually premiere all our videos. And so instead of doing lives, we do premieres.
Right.
And so I have the same people that come in every Saturday at 9:00. And believe me, if I don't post, I hear about it, you know, don't even, you know, and now they've kind of, you know, they'll email me, are you going to post on Saturday? You know, and, I just have a rule that when it's a 3-day weekend or holiday weekend, I don't post. Not only do I need time for the family, but nobody's there to watch it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is on vacation. So like this weekend, I will not have a video come out on Saturday. It's a 3-day weekend. Plus, it's you know, we travel usually on those weekends too. If I'm starting to feel overwhelmed, I'll take a break. Just not post that week. Even though I have a video for that week, I won't post because, you know, to get a video out, it takes a lot of work. You've got to, you know, I have to get my social media stuff done. We do little mini commercials of the video. I have to get those done. We have a blog. So we just don't put out a video. We have a full-on blog that goes with that video. And, you know, that also has our Amazon links on it. So it's, you know, our blog's a moneymaker also. And, you know, so to get, you know, to do a write-up of your video takes time. And especially with the stuff I do, people want to know the history, and they want to know if you're not right about something, they'll call you out on it.
Oh yeah,
Big time. And so it's important you have your facts right. And you know, so my facts, I usually don't, you know, pull them from Webipedia and stuff. You know, they need to be from reliable sources, like a university or from you know, a museum that takes care of, you know, whatever I'm talking about, from the experts that, you know, not just somebody else that put a blog out,
Right.
somebody who's the expert about this particular thing I'm talking about. So, you know, I do a lot of fact checking, and that's very time consuming. So, you know, and to get ready to go on these trips, we just don't jump in the car. I know every place we're going to go and the things we're going to look at and the history behind it before I ever get in the car. So I get burnt out, and you have to be really careful. It's one of the biggest advices I have to people. Not only take time for yourself, and that doesn't mean, I'm going to take a month off, because you'll lose your YouTube momentum. They see that you're not posting for a month, and it can actually really hurt you. You know, take a week off here, or what a lot of times I do when I know I'm going to take a little time off, I get videos ready ahead of time. Like I've already got videos all the way ready all the way to October right now. And so that way, if I do need to take a little bit of a breath, it's not that bad because I've already got videos ready.
Yeah.
But it's so important. I worry about people that do this, because if you want to stay for the long run, you really need to take breaks, and take breaks when YouTube's at a low, like January. January is the slowest month for YouTube, and especially when you're monetized. And the reason it is that your best months is the summertime when you're a travel channel, and November, and the first part of December, and especially when you're monetized. And the reason being is that these companies have an advertisement budget, and they're spending a ton of it in November and in the beginning of December because of Christmas. And so you end up making more money at that time than pretty much all year round. So it's important to post a lot in November and just the first part of December. I usually won't put out a ton of videos the last 2 weeks in December, because it's the holidays. Everybody's on trips. They're with family. Nobody's watching. So a lot of times I'll put out Christmas music at that time. that has our trips video clips in it.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's what people will watch. And then January, advertisers aren't spending money. They blew, their money back in December and November. And so you'll find when you're monetized in January, you're like, why am I hardly making any money? This video is just as good as what I put out in November. And it's because the advertisers aren't advertising, there's very little advertising, unless they're health ads, because it's January.
Right.
You'll see that. But a lot of people don't realize that. And so I see people hustling in January, and it's like, that's the month you should catch up, that you should, bank your videos, get a bunch made up in January. So, you're ahead of the game as the year goes by.
Now, do you work from home?
Yes, I do now. When COVID started, we all worked out of the house. And so the university just started up again. And so, and that's been interesting. We're a party school. and trying to keep the university kids from coming together has been challenging.
Yeah.
And so we've made the news pretty much every day. And today's thing was, so this is an interesting thing. So they're collecting the sewage from the dorms. So when people flush their toilets in the dorms, they're testing the sewage and looking for COVID. So if they find COVID in the sewage, they know that building's contaminated and everybody has to go in quarantine. Well, I guess I haven't read the story completely. I got it secondhand from Patrick, my husband, that 3 dorms they found COVID in on the news. And it was like, guys, just stay away from each other.
Right.
It is. So I don't know. So it's, so we have students living here at the dorm. So I don't know what's going to happen with that after what they had today. But a lot of us are working from home. A lot of the faculty's working from home. People that can work from home. But people that have to be there to, run things and work with the students and things like that. They have to be on the campus. So I'll be working from home the rest of the term. And then, every day's a new decision. So
Yeah.
Our son at UNA, working on his Bachelor of Nursing degree, and then it's all online. The only thing he does in person is clinicals. That's where he is today, working at a
well, we're online too. We went online, but we still have students here. Because they, if they're science students, they need to do their labs. And, it's kind of hard to do a chemistry lab from your dorm.
Yeah.
And so they physically need to be here, especially science students, but they're all online. And, but there are some mixed ones where they can come in and get help. It's every day it's something new. That they're coming out with decisions, and the campuses across the United States are learning.
Thomas didn't get to graduate RN. I mean, he got to graduate, but when he graduated RN school, he didn't get to pinning ceremony or anything. And
my niece was there. My niece was here at my university, and we basically had to move her out of her apartment in a day, because we were trying to get her on an airplane to get her back home before they closed down the airports, because nobody knew what was going to happen. And, and this was back in March. And then I went back to her apartment to get some more things from her after we had put her on a plane. And the whole neighborhood and everything, it was really eerie. It was a ghost town. And it felt like the apocalypse.
Yeah.
First time I had gone back in since, it was like right after quarantine because none of us could go out here in Colorado. And so unless you were an essential worker, was nobody else could be on the streets and go out unless you were an essential worker. And so we had to wait to go back to our apartment until we could all go out, and it was still a ghost town. It was just really eerie to go onto the campus and nobody be there.
So how, like, y'all are quite a bit bigger channel than we are, and y'all done a lot of stuff that gives you a lot of experience outside of YouTube as far as business wise goes. How has it been for you guys as you grow, integrating the love of YouTube and the business side of it as well? Because there is a business side. As much as people want to do it for fun, there's still that business side, because that's some people, it's just all free content, free, but you still got the side that people want to send you super chats. They want to be a part of the show. They want to do Patreon. We done Patreon because we had a lot of people ask for Patreon. And so we done Patreon. How has that been for y'all? Are y'all doing any of that?
So from day one, it's been a business venture. We, like I said before, we were doing these road trips anyways, and we've always sought this history out and the things that you see in our videos, we were doing as an everyday thing. And we're getting close to retirement, as I said, and I'm just not a person that just can't do anything in retirement. I had to have something to do. And so that, and an empty nester on top of it, and I just felt like I had a lot to say, and, we just decided, let's monetize what we do. And this has always been a business. And having fun, is definitely in the love of YouTube. I had no idea I would have the love for YouTube I do. I mean, I just really have had a lot of fun. I love what I'm doing. And Patrick loves being a part of it, and I get that question a lot. How do you get your spouse involved, with YouTube? Because I guess, a lot of people that don't do YouTube with their spouse, there's friction that happens, because it's very time consuming.
Right.
And so getting Patrick involved, I felt was important because we needed to do this together. And, because it's so time consuming, we needed to be a business venture together. So we are a legitimate business. We always have been since we started YouTube. We're actually an LLC. And, so it's always been about getting monetized. Some people, that's not their bag or that's not what they're going to do. But for us, it was always about getting monetized. And so now that we've been monetized for, I want to say a year and a half now. But we've always been monetized with Amazon as an Amazon affiliate. We're also monetized with booking.com, but I don't really do much with that because I wasn't making any money with it at all. But Amazon, we have a money coming in from that. And then we have money coming in from the ads on our videos. Is it a lot of money? Not at this point. It's not.
I make more off of, there's more money not that I make that don't include YouTube.
Yeah.
And I make it on YouTube, but it's not from YouTube.
And we're going to be branching out on other things and stuff. So we're basically what the plan is, the business plan is to build a foundation. And that's what we've been doing since 2018 is to build a foundation. We weren't in a hurry because this was all about retirement.
Yeah.
Things that we're going to do in retirement and make some extra money while we're in retirement. Mm-hmm. Any business that you start is going to take you at least 5 years before you start making a profit.
Right.
Or bringing, substantial money in. And a lot of people that start YouTube think, oh, I'm not making any money and it's been 2 years, I'm not going to do this anymore. Well, you need to wait. You're not going to make money right away. And,
it's work. It's work. It's some of the hardest work I've ever done. I mean, not physically, but mentally and time consuming.
Yeah.
Right. You know, people that think that you're just, oh, why did their video go viral? You know, wasn't that great? And I do better videos or whatever and stuff. You know, it's the success that we've had, and we don't consider ourselves even successful yet. we put a lot of work into that. There's been a lot of hours spent putting together where we're at right now. It did not happen overnight. And a lot of work went in to get us to the point we're at. You know, our 6,000 plus subs, we just didn't get them from a viral video. That's been a slow incline for 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't happen overnight. And I've done a lot of business analyzing of what's really considered success on YouTube and what isn't. And, I think that we look at these big guys that have millions of views and stuff. We will never be there. And I don't want to really be there, because I'm being realistic. I'm not some young person who's going to get 1 million views. I am an older, lady who started YouTube, and my fan base is an older fan base. And we're just not in the millions like the 20-year-olds and the 18-year-olds are on YouTube. I'm never going to get 1 million views. If I do, it's going to be a fluke on one video. And so you have to, you can't put the bar up here. You need to be realistic about where the bar is. And you have to make your videos to be evergreen, meaning they'll last forever. I consciously do not say dates. I don't put dates in my video naming. And if it's a seasonal one like Halloween and stuff or Christmas, those you can't get away from. But I still try to make them so they're evergreen, meaning they last forever or they last year round. Okay, that you won't see us do a ton of videos that has to do with the moment. Occasionally we do. And to be honest with you, those are our videos that don't do real well. It's like the Thunderbirds went over our house and I did a video for it. It did really well that day. And that's doing well since. So it's important to do evergreen. This is a business.
Forever best friends asked, do you use software analysis of your channel and your videos, such as vidIQ? Do you look into much of that? I don't, because I'm having fun. I do what's fun.
I used to when I first started out, and YouTube analytics wasn't as good as it is now. It's gotten a lot better. And I don't anymore, because those tools really, they weren't telling me things I didn't already know, or, it's like, is it vidIQ or one of them that tells you what thumbnail to use. And that's all is great, but I personally think it also has to do with your thumbnail has a lot to do with the content, and you need to know how to make your own thumbnails. You need to be successful, and your thumbnails have your identity, not what some tool thinks it should look like. And their logarithm is based on what's popular out there. And to be honest with you, I think that you need to stand out from the crowd is what makes a good thumbnail. And so if you're looking like everybody else's thumbnails, how are you going to stand out in a list of people? And so I think you need to find your identity in your thumbnails, and you need to look at the right stats that's in analytics, and they put it right in front of you.
Yeah.
They're not shy about telling you what they're looking for. And getting it from YouTube's mouth is more important than whether vidIQ says it's the way it is or one of the other tools. And they put it right in front of you what's important.
YouTube will even pick your thumbnail for you out of your whole video. They'll say, look, this is the best scene. Take it, put it in your editor, put some words on it, put it up there.
Exactly.
It's not rocket science.
You have to know how to make thumbnails. You have to make sure the words are big enough and that there's not a ton of words on it. That it like in my thumbnails, I try to make it 1 to 2 words, and that it kind of says it all, or it's kind of a catchphrase thing that makes people interested. Right. You have to make sure that they're bright. The lettering's bright, because people are looking at it in this small little device.
Right.
And they have to be able to see the words, and they have to be able to see the picture so they understand what it is. And so when it gets on the phone, a graphic can be darker than when you made the graphic in your program. So if you're using like Photoshop or whatever, it's going to look darker on here than it is in Photoshop. So it's important that you make that they're light and that they're contrasty.
Yeah.
So everything isn't blending together. That you've got the mountains with a really stark blue sky. And then, so it's a lot of times when I'm out in the field and I'm taking pictures for my thumbnails, I make sure there's a lot of space on the top of the picture, or I take some pictures that have a lot of space on the top, because that's where the lettering is going to go in the thumbnail. And I combine pictures together. It's like our Teton one. It's me going like this, and I've got the Tetons behind us, and a bear. Okay, that bear really wasn't there. Yeah, I put that bear. And everybody was like, I got all these comments like, I can't believe that you took that selfie with the bear. I mean, I got like, comments. So it was like, am I that good?
Yeah.
I actually thought the bear was there. I was like, boy, I guess I make good thumbnails. So I put a picnic basket in his hand. So the comments would stop,
Yeah. Me and Nettie and Felix and Jerry, we have never been in the same room together. But Felix, on our intros, has us all in a group picture, and it looks real, but we have never been in the same room together. Me and Jerry has, but none of the rest of us have ever even met.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use a program on my phone called Simple Background to cut out the background. And is that what it's called? And I want to verify that's what it's called. And basically what I do is I take us and Simple Background is the app I use. And I take a picture and I cut out everything around me. And you do it, you can do it with your finger. It's actually a really great app. And so I do a cutout of myself, and then I find pictures on the web that are cutouts of maybe a bear or an animal or whatever I'm going to put in my thing, the picnic basket. And I usually will put myself into the background if I'm not in the picture. Like all the mountains background, I'll put myself there, and I'll put whatever else I'm going to put in, and then my lettering. But I make all my thumbnails in my video app that I use. I use Cyberlink Power Director, and I actually make my thumbnails in that app. I don't use Photoshop and stuff like that. So because you can layer in your video software, that's where I do my layering. So the top one is going to be the background, and then I put all the different cutouts, as you go down, where you make your videos. And I can size them, I can tilt them, I can do all different things. And so I use the tools I already have, and that's Cyberlink, and it works for us. But I saw a big change in our videos when I changed our thumbnails. I really did. I mean, it wasn't like, blew up or anything, but I definitely saw our stats go up when I changed how we did our thumbnails. Our thumbnails usually are fun. They're a joke. There's something funny in it. It's Mr. Martini with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But the video is about Devil's Tower. And so it's got Devil's Tower behind, it says Devil's Tower, but he's standing there arm in arm with Bigfoot, because makes it stand out compared to everything else going Bigfoot. Bigfoot has nothing to do with the video.
Right.
But he might be in the woods there.
Right. So,
but the analytics that are really important is your CTR and how much. So in your analytics, you're going to see a funnel, and it's usually on the first page tab of your analytics, and it's like an upside down pyramid. And they're telling you right there in that pyramid what's important to them and what numbers are important to them. And the top of the pyramid is, because it's bigger, that's the most important thing. And then as the pyramid gets smaller, those are important, but they're not as important as what's on top of the pyramid. So what's on top of the pyramid is impressions. How much is YouTube putting you out? And your CTR, which is click-through rate. And so what you want to happen is how much of the length of your video is somebody watching and how much YouTube's putting you out. So they put you out, and how much of those people are clicking on those videos and how long are they watching it. Those are your most important stats. It's not your views. I have views that maybe have 200 videos that have 200 views on it, and it makes more money than the one that's got 1,000 views on it, because the click-through rate is higher on that 200 views. People are watching 60% of the video that has 200 views, but the one that has 1,000 views, maybe it's got 30%.
Yeah.
I mean, 3.5%. So a good click-through rate, your goal should be, is to be in the 4s. The big YouTubers they're higher, but they're not that much higher. I've seen friends of mine that are very successful. They've actually shared their stats with me. And a lot of times I have better stats than they do. My numbers look better. They have the crowd, but they don't have the retention. And the retention is really important. So you want to have a retention as much as you can, at least 50% and above. And your click-through rate is in the 4s. That's what your goals should be. And if those are your goals, your channel will do, it will do pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's 3.4. But I do more live streams than I do videos, and that's going to bring mine down a little bit.
And 3.4 is not bad. It is not bad at all. And that number will change, and it's about retention. Keep an eye on your retention. My retention actually recently went down, and I know exactly why. Because I decided to do mid-roll ads. I had never done them before. And I decided, I need to start making some money. And so I decided to do mid-rolls. And a big YouTuber that I'm good friends with, I have a good friend that I've been friends with YouTube since we started. We've grown up together on YouTube. And he ended up working for a very big YouTuber. I won't mention names, but he ended up working for a huge YouTuber. And it brought my friend's channel along with it. And so I've gotten a lot of insight of like, what does so-and-so think, what's their advice? What do they think works? What do they think that doesn't work and stuff? And that big YouTuber said, your video should be 20 minutes or more. And you need mid-roll ads. And so I took their advice. And when you look at our catalog, you'll notice all of a sudden I started doing 20-minute videos. And you know what? They were right. My income doubled. And I noticed that my, not engagement, but impressions, my YouTube, you saw the top of the pyramid is impressions, that it doubled. And I noticed in a lot of people that were doing really well, their impressions were like 125,000 impressions in 28 days. And so I inspired to get to that. And by making my videos 20 minutes, I noticed impressions is YouTube dishing you out. Okay. And so this big YouTuber said, if you make your videos 20 minutes or more, YouTube will dish you out more. And he was right.
Wow.
My impressions doubled when I started doing that. And then my income doubled by doing mid-rolls. And I didn't want to do mid-rolls because as a viewer, I hate mid-rolls. And I hate those long ads. And so I tried not to put in mid-roll ads. But I am now, my income doubled. And, but the thing that got hurt was my retention. So most of my videos were always 50% my retention. And it dropped down to like 30s, in the 30s. Because I think that people that aren't on YouTube a lot get to the commercials and think that's the end or something. Yeah. I don't know.
So you say retention, is that average view percentage?
Yeah. So how long somebody's watching your video on average. So let's say you have a 10-minute video and somebody watches it to 5 minutes.
Right.
Then your retention for that particular viewer is 50%.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody watches it 2.5 minutes, then the retention for that viewer is 25%. So they take all those percentages and average it together. So somebody watched the whole thing. Somebody watched 2 seconds of it. Somebody watched 5 minutes of it. They take all those together, average them together, and that's the average retention on your video. So
I was looking at my analytics here and it said average view duration. I'm sure this includes my lives and everything, but I'm at over 19 minutes. But I don't know what percentage that is. But
so you have 2 retentions that you look at per video. So each video has its own retention, and those are the retentions I look at the most.
Right.
So I'll look at the retention of a video and how well a video is doing. And you can't get too hooked up on it because I have videos that have like a 70% retention, which is really good. If you got a 50% retention on a video, that's good. That's considered good. Okay. But I have videos that have 70% and they don't make very much money. They don't have very many views on them. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't translate 100% to success on that video. Because to me, success on a video is not necessarily views. It's it being when you're monetized. To me, it's how much money it's making, because that's what I'm doing. What's my goal here is to make money.
Right.
And so it's how much money it's making. And, and views are important to me too, but it's not apples to apples a lot of times.
Right. A lot of people click on a video long enough to get it counted as a view and then say they don't like it and click off.
Right.
I'd rather see how long they watch it.
Right. And that's what's important. How long have you brought the person in? How long are they going to stay on your page? Another thing that they do in that calculation is not only how long they watch the video, but did they click on another one of your videos that's being dished out on the side?
Right.
How long are you keeping this person on YouTube with your videos?
Right.
That's important also. So getting in that list of next videos, mm-hmm. you want to be in there.
I wish they would do the live streamers. I wish they would do more for live streamers.
I do too.
We don't get the opportunities because ours is majority live. So that's what our show now is based. I do videos, but our bread and butter is the show. And so we should, especially a 2-hour show, should get a mid-roll ad if somebody don't want to watch it, just click it off. We pause
Right.
2 seconds, let them run an ad. Let's go on.
Right.
If it's just one, it would be dramatic on what it would make in a year's time.
And that was a question in the chat from Burning Up the Road. She didn't understand what a mid-roll is.
Yeah.
So when you're putting commercials in the ads in your video, you actually have control of where they appear. And so when you get monetized, when you go into the settings of that video, you have a monetization option. When you go in there, you can place ads in the front of the video when it starts. You have the option to put them also after the video, or you can put them within the video, which is mid-roll ads. So I put them everywhere. And so I have ads running when the video starts. I have ads running when it ends. And you can place where you want the ads to appear within your video. Those are mid-rolls. So you can either pick an option to where YouTube puts them in for you. They find good breaks in your video to put them, or you can put them wherever you want. And those are mid-rolls. And I'm testing something right now because I noticed that my retention rate went down when I started doing mid-rolls. My income doubled, but my retention got hurt. And I really got my retention hurt. So I've actually been putting physical slides in of where I'm going to put the ad break and saying, ad break, more about this when we return, and I'll put them in there where I know I'm going to place the ad.
Yeah.
And I'm still testing to see if that helps the situation. But one thing I noticed about that, I was watching one of our videos on Amazon Stick, and so on the TV, and I noticed that mid-rolls don't come up. That the ads come in the beginning, the ads come after, but mid-rolls don't show up.
Oh, wow.
When you're on the TV. And I was like, this slide comes up, but there's no ad.
Oh no.
That's on the Fire Stick you're talking about,
Yeah. And
Oh.
so I was like, I'm not sure if it's a good idea. So I'm still testing out that whole thing right now.
YouTube Premium don't watch ads.
Huh?
YouTube Premium customers don't have any ads. So that's another thing.
Which is funny because I haven't figured that out yet. I make money from people from Premium.
Well, I made 13 cents last month. So I kid people on here all the time. I tell them what I make. I'm not hiding anything. And so last month I think it was 13 cents, and this month I think I'm knocking it out of the park. By the way, but this month I have made a whopping 19 cents on YouTube Premium.
I don't even know. It's so small. I don't even really commit it to memory how much it is and stuff.
I have made more off podcasts.
But yeah, my biggest suggestion about when you get monetized is, I really resisted for a long time doing mid-rolls, and it actually was a game changer for me to do mid-rolls and to have long enough videos to make the mid-rolls valuable.
Yeah. The rules have changed now. That's 8 minutes.
That what?
So they just changed the rules for mid-roll. 8 minutes plus, you'll get a mid-roll ad.
Yeah, that you can insert them.
Yeah.
So, and it's your choice. It's a choice that the creator makes on whether you want to put mid-rolls in.
I watch Simple Life Reclaimed. I don't know if you watch them. They've been remodeling their fifth wheel, and they do 20+ minute videos nearly all the time. Sometimes a little over 30, but they do what works for them. And they'll have probably on a 25 minute, they may have 5 ads in that 25 minutes. It works for them. And their channel's growing like crazy. They're over 4,000. They were I think when we interviewed them a month ago, they were 1,800, 2,000. Now they're over 4,000. And so it's working for them.
Right. And that's what I noticed the most. And I think that's why my retention went down too, is that my videos were longer. You know, you try to analyze these things as much as you can. But I think that because those are the things that changed. I started mid-rolls and I made my videos longer both at the same time. And so I think both of them had a factor in the retention going down. But on the plus side, my impressions, how much YouTube dishes you out in every way, shape, or form, whether you're on the side, whether you're on a homepage, wherever they physically see your thumbnail, that's an impression. My impressions went through the roof. And that's more important. That is the most important number, is how much YouTube is dishing you out.
That's free advertisement.
Yeah. That's the key to your success, is them dishing you out. You could be the best YouTuber in the world and have the best videos in the world, but if YouTube's not putting you out, then you're gonna spin your wheels. And I spent my wheels for a long time.
They average put me out about 57,000 times.
Well, my best number before June was 70,000 impressions plus. And that was in November. Because remember I said November is a very important time.
Yeah.
And I was so excited about that 70,000 because, it was like, I think things are going to start moving now, and we were doing really well after that. And then COVID hit. That put the kibosh on our inertia.
Yeah.
And then in June is when I started the 20-minute videos and the mid-rolls. And over the summer, this morning when I checked it, it was at 122,000 plus impressions. And so doing the 20-minute videos plus was a game changer for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like the best, because you always want to ask the successful people, the big guys, what is the things that you contribute? And you just don't want it for one person. You want to ask many different people, because different things work for different people. This person might be successful because they did this. This person, everybody's different. And so there's not just one formula of what's going to make you successful. You need to take bits and pieces and find what works for you. And that's what I've done over the last year, because I have been spinning our wheels for a really long time. And I was getting really, really frustrated because I kept putting videos out. And it's like, I couldn't seem to break this ceiling. And I'm still kind of there too. The ceiling that I couldn't get beyond a certain amount of views. And I'm still trying to break through that ceiling. But now at least I'm seeing some momentum.
Yeah. Well, I guess with what you guys are doing, it's easy to do a 20-minute video. You have enough content to fill a 20-minute video. A lot of the stuff like I do, it's hard to create 20 minutes. And you better have something really good for me to sit down 20 minutes. I'm just being honest. I don't see how that analytic, or I don't know who's watching that many videos, 20 plus minutes. It better be on the edge. Somebody fixing to fall off into the water or something. It better be keeping me in suspense if you're going to keep me 20 minutes.
Your people who watch the 20 minutes are the people that are really into that subject matter. So it's not necessarily your YouTube friends. It's people that are not, like, when you look at my who's watching my videos, it's mostly non-subscribers. So, and I'm talking like 90% of my views come from non-subscribers.
Mine's opposite.
And so, and it's probably because you're a live streamer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so the people that are watching the 20 minutes are people that are into history. They're into this kind of travel. They're into any of our paranormal stuff. They're people that are into these things. I belong to like a bunch of like I told you about the cemetery stuff. I belong to a bunch of cemetery groups. There are thousands of people out there that love going through cemeteries and finding the history in cemeteries, or even the art, the sculptures and stuff there in cemeteries. There's whole groups just on the sculptures and the artistry that you find in cemeteries. those people may not be subscribing to us, but they watch our videos because they love how we tie the cemetery into a trip, you know, where we like start in the cemetery and tell the story. Like my most recent one, has been real popular with the cemetery groups on Mount Rushmore. We did a thing on Mount Rushmore, and we did the different views that you can get of Mount Rushmore without ever having to go into the park, because we're in a crisis right now, COVID crisis, and who wants to be around people? So I get showing people where you can actually see Mount Rushmore without being inside the park. And one of those views is at a cemetery. And you have this just fantastic view of Rushmore right there. And so why I'm in the cemetery, not only am I talking about the view, but I'm talking about Carrie Ingalls, as in Little House on the Prairie, Carrie Ingalls, the little one down the hill in the show. Her husband and her stepson are buried there. And Carrie was very involved in the town of Keystone, and her husband and stepson were very involved in Mount Rushmore. You know, it's like that 1 degree of separation, you know, theory, you know. And here's a very beloved character, Carrie Ingalls. And people have been just eating that up because there are just huge Little House on the Prairie fans. So here you think I'm going to talk about Mount Rushmore, but I brought Little House on the Prairie together. You know? And those are the cemetery people. They're just eating that up. They just love it, you know, and they want to know where Carrie's buried and where everybody else is buried. Because Carrie's not buried there.
That's a good book of worms you want to open, ain't it? Because that creates a lot of search.
Yeah, it does. And I actually was watching that this morning, and it's very fascinating. I love how you put it all together. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, one of the most important things that I've learned as a content creator is you need to tell a story.
Right.
And a story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's as simple as that. You need to introduce your story. You need to have the middle content of it, and then you need to tie it up at the end. It needs, so when the person walks away from your story, they don't just have bits and pieces of it. It flowed, the story flowed together as if it was paragraphs. And you know, I learned that from, you know, public speaking and things like that, you know, that I've done, is that in my career, I've had to do a lot of public speaking and speak at conferences and stuff on education technology. And it's how you get your audience in live audience is you're telling a story. You tell a story that people can relate to. And
that's what keeps them watching it. Exactly. And I feel it also gives them the like the impression, you know, once you see it, it's an imprint and you want to share it out.
Exactly. You're just not going to Mount Rushmore and going, there it is.
Yes, it was amazing. And a lot of people have a hard time actually getting to see it because of how busy it was, you know, before all this happened, and just trying to make your way up there and the traffic. And now you have this way that you can actually view it without making it all the way up to Mount Rushmore. That was very, very good.
Thank you. And you can and it's places that are actually prettier.
Exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful drive. And, you know, I mean, like going through those tunnels, you can literally stop inside this beautiful rock tunnel and there it is, framed. Mount Rushmore's framed in this tunnel. I mean, what a picture.
And at night, the way they light it up and you just see their faces.
You wouldn't believe how many comments I've had about people that didn't even know that they lit it up at night.
Yeah, I had no idea myself.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. I've learned so much about your channel, and you're awesome anyway. I love the fact that people that you see has a history of their own, like that you're not just a YouTuber. You've done so much in your life with your education and the things you've done for space and then your organic gardens. That's just awesome to know what all people do. I mean, they think they know you. Then when you get to talk to them, you're like, wow, you're awesome.
Oh, thank you. My day.
But it does. It means a lot. A lot of people, that's just like history. You don't know history until you live it. And when you meet somebody with a history, you're just like, that's a side I didn't know, And so
history is so important. We need to learn from it so we don't make the same mistakes. And for the longest time, I've wanted to do a video on the Spanish flu, because I go to a lot of cemeteries and I see a lot of 1918s, just thousands of people. And then this happened. And you're like, all that I've learned about the Spanish flu, I think back and we're reliving exactly what happened back then. And we need to learn from the mistakes they made so we don't make the same mistakes this time. It's a perfect example of why history is so important, to know now so we don't make the same mistakes. So, and it's interesting.
Well, this has been awesome. If you guys don't have Colorado Martini, you got to go over there and hook up with our channel.
Yep. Correct that mistake today.
Correct that mistake. Yep. Go over there and check them out. I was going to look and see my notes in here I'm getting sent to make sure I'm not missing anything. Happy Place Camping is one of your biggest fans. Felix, that's who you talked to, that she asked you to be on the show. She took some time off this week, but she's been lurking and listening. She's a great interview. She loved your channel, and so
thank you.
Mm-hmm. She sent us that message. She's actually in the chat.
Yeah.
And but she's usually up here with us. She does a lot. She helped me a lot with thumbnails and all kind of stuff too. And matter of fact, she just overhauled our channel, and she's her and this one sitting above you, and this guy who's sitting beside you. Wouldn't be what it is without all of them. So, but Jerry's a fire chief.
Channels too.
Jerry's a fire chief, so he stays real busy. So he's actually had to go back to work. We used to have him all the time. Now we get him while he works. So, but anyway,
that's okay.
It was great having you, and we appreciate you coming on our little bitty show. So,
well, thank you for having us. We're flattered that you asked,
and so maybe we can meet up again someday.
We would love that.
So, well, I'll let you go. I know you're busy. We got you up and about early this morning.
Yep. And we were dropping your link to your channel and also to Instagram in the chat.
Thank you.
So maybe we got you a bunch of new fans. So
I know I'm one. I'm definitely a fan.
Jerry's got the hat on. He's fit to do something serious. I bet he's investigating the house fire they had the other day. Do what?
I do a stack test on a fire line going into a new building. The fun stuff.
Yeah.
He used to have a guy that done this, but the guy's leaving for a better job. So now Jerry's got to do it.
He just wanted to impress everybody and put his hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not actually supposed to. You're supposed to have a hat on before you pull on the property, but I forgot to put it on.
I got luck. I was on my school bus. Masks are required, even school bus drivers. We have to wear them at all times on our bus.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, if I don't have a kid on there, I'll pull mine down so I can get some fresh air. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so yesterday, I was going through and I had my mask. I was all compliant. I was doing everything just right. I pulled up to a red light. I was turning left. I was in my bus. I was doing everything right. One of my bosses pulls up beside me and does this right here. I'm thinking, well, you never know where you're going to run into the boss.
Jerry, somebody's kissing you, Jerry. I see lips on your mask.
It does look like that.
It looks like lips.
Fire symbol. It's the fire symbol.
It look like lips.
Jerry, you look so official now.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it?
Them shades, you got the shades going. That's the KT shades right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're actually safety glasses, see. You gotta have safety glasses on.
Well, be nice to them.
I have a feeling they're not gonna pass, so it's not gonna be good.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I hate to cut you off, but I have to be in a meeting in like 10 minutes, so I need to log into a different computer.
That'll work.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being on. See you.
Nice meeting you. Sorry I didn't get to stay on all the interview, but it sounded good when I was here.
See ya.
Bye.
That was awesome. That was a great interview.
I know. I wish I hadn't been busy this morning. That was very interesting. I get into that paranormal stuff.
You can watch the playback.
I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to have to.
Yes, it was very interesting. Yeah.
I had to respond to a text. Our realtor's got somebody coming at 12:30 to look at the house.
Ooh, awesome.
There you go.
So they just put it on the MLS last night. So
cool.
Well, mine was a contingency. Well, the guy put his house on the market yesterday and sold it. So now it's not a contingency. It's an actual contract.
Awesome. Look at you.
We're going to be closing October 9th instead of October 28th. So I'm excited.
Yeah, good deal. Wow. Good deal. I'm hoping I get a cash buyer we can close.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see how many. I don't know how many offers I'm going to take between now and Monday. I want to wait and see how many we get between now and Monday, I think, before I take one.
Yeah, don't do it. That's why that first week they did that open house, I told her I didn't want a contract to stop till like 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do that. Be sure to do that. Put a clause in there. You're not going to take the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because I know we got people coming Saturday as well. So,
yeah.
So, anyway, so I got to get off here, and me and Daddy worked on the lawnmower yesterday, so I got streaks in my front yard. So guess what I got to go do before I get on the bus? Mow the front yard.
Wow.
I've been having to mow the yard twice a week, and I could probably mow it 3 times a week.
Not every 4 days. Yep, not every 4 days.
Yep.
Well, I have somebody that mows my own yard. We don't have to do that anymore.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah.
My realtor texted me just now and said, make sure you put up all your Second Amendment stuff. I forgot to put it on the nightstand yesterday. One of them. I can't carry it on the bus, so I left it on my nightstand and didn't think about them coming and taking pictures.
Oh,
yeah. Get all the rebel flags down. Get all the rebel flags.
And the Gary and the Bear mug, somebody may steal that thing.
Yeah, all that collectible stuff. Put it up. Yeah, I had to put the Gary and the Bear mug up in the back there. So, is anybody coming up next?
I didn't see anybody. I was just looking.
Well, let's hop off early since I got to go. It's just about 7 minutes early.
Mm-hmm.
Let's knock off a little early and let me get to getting the house ready and the yard ready and find a bite to eat. So as soon as I jump off the lawnmower, I can go get on the bus.
All right.
Sounds great.
I'm going
have a great day.
Let me check in the chat right quick, see if I'm missing anything. Let me see here. I'm getting a text. Oh, yeah. Felix for Happy Place Camping. They're halfway on their hours now. Finally, they got to the halfway point.
Awesome.
All right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow's Fun Day Friday. And so I will catch you guys tomorrow if I don't see you guys out somewhere tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everybody, for coming. See y'all. Be careful, Gary. See you, Nettie.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Straight out of my head. you're living proof of love at first sight. But now we both see love in a different